Hey, it is the LA Lloyd Rock 30, and I'm very happy to welcome Billy Morrison back on the show. We talked about a year ago, and I got to tell you, Billy, I really enjoyed that conversation that day. It's probably one of the best conversations I've had with a guest in a long time, so it's a pleasure having you back, man.
Thank you for having me back. Yeah, who knew I was going to be back? I didn't know I was going to do another record.
Well, I sure am glad you did. And that kind of leads me into my first question, where some artists kind of talk through their career. There's always this reinvention. For me, my personal feeling about yours is it's more of an evolution because we've seen you evolve through many different incarnations of your career. So is that kind of the way it has been? Or was there a point in your life where you said, I got to hit the brakes and completely rebuild?
No, I'm hit the brakes. Are you kidding me? I've been on the gas for 30 years.
Right.
No, you're very astute. It is. It's not a reinvention. It's an evolution that I really honestly don't think too hard about. I think that for me, the trick is to not worry too much about what people think.
Right.
Try and work with people that don't care what people think. Look, multi-genre, multi-artist albums typically don't do well.
True that.
I'm proof that they do. I had a number one and multiple top tens, right? So there's irrefutable proof that if you do it the right way with honesty and integrity and truth, they do work. But you've got to find people that also believe that. And so I'm lucky that my team, my record label, there's Dennis, Pete, and Eric. I'm giving them a shout out because they deserve it. They all believe in me and my crazy multi-genre, multi-artist projects. My creative team, which is Jane Stewart, the art director and photographer, and Barry Pointer, who mixes, and Dave Donnelly, who masters, that gives this a consistency that speaks volumes, that speaks for itself. It's not just some dude writing a bunch of weird songs.
Right.
There is a thought out consistency to what I'm putting out. And I think that's why it works.
And you're fortunate, I think, to have a team like that because, I mean, you got to look back through the music industry and how, one trend can literally change the trajectory of music overnight. And for example, when grunge hit, Smells Like Teen Spirit and hair bands were a thing of the past overnight.
That's it. Overnight, right?
Literally. So, I mean, what do you feel about these guys that are following the trends? I mean, does it always ultimately look like they're going to lose at the end of the day?
I just think it's about how you feel when you put your head on your own pillow at night.
Right.
You can follow a trend. You can listen. Following trends can often mean a lot of money, a lot of record sales, and big tours.
Right.
That's great. That's great. I am fortunate enough that for the past 18 years, I've traveled the world at the highest level with Billy Idol and Steve Stevens. I get to play arenas, Madison Square Gardens, on a nightly basis to 20,000 people. I play music at a really high level, which would be enough for most people. It's not enough for me, but that's okay. So therefore, everything I do is bonus. Everything other than that is an unexpected bonus that I'm grateful for in my life. So I don't really care about much except how I feel, not how I think.
Right.
When I put my head on the pillow at night. So following trends, if you're 20 and you're in one of those bands that's doing the thing right now, that's great. Look, save your money.
Great advice.
Save your money. Like rock superstar said, this does not last long. So save your money and enjoy the ride. For me, at this age, getting a number one single is insane.
Yeah.
So that is way more important to me than following trends. And, I'm sober a very long time. So not hurting people, not being a dickhead. This is all more important to me than following a musical trend. I mean, it's a different sport entirely.
Right. And, you're a guy who seems like you've been able to juggle what I think rock and roll always needs. I think it needs chaos, but I think there needs some discipline to it as well. With that said, do you think the songs are what brings the chaos, or is it the person that brings the chaos? And then is the discipline when you finally have to get in the studio and make something great and then ultimately having to be able to, perform it live?
What a great question.
Thank you.
I've never been asked that, and immediately I'm thinking it's the person that makes the chaos. If most people I know wouldn't last 5 minutes inside my own head, the people that I work with, that creative team that I told you, Jane and Pete and Eric and Dennis, they all have the same crazy head as I do. So they understand me. And I think the discipline comes with age and experience. No one wants to see an artist throwing a TV out of a hotel window anymore.
Right.
No one.
Yeah.
Least of all the artists, because now we all realize we're going to pay for that TV at the end of the day.
That's right.
Right. So no one's chucking TVs out the window. And it's really boring if you're in a band that does that. Dude, Aerosmith were doing it in the 70s. Stop it.
Right.
So the discipline comes from age and experience and realizing that the hard work is what really makes it worthwhile. But the chaos, I've lived a life of chaos, trust me. I'm lucky enough to have come out of that life alive. And so it gives me more than enough material to write from a heartfelt place about chaos, disorder, unsettling things, relationships, all of that comes from a life of chaos.
Indeed.
I try not to live that life of chaos now. Although if you were around me for any length of time, you'd probably be like, I can't take this.
Well, I hope I get that opportunity someday. I really do, man. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about the song Becoming shortly. But first, I kind of wanted to talk about the concept of becoming, where, I read something where you said transforming out of the darkness and negativity of a certain lifestyle choice and becoming a strong, positive, and powerful force, which kind of goes back to what we were talking about with the chaos and discipline. Becoming more from a personal experience or just, your view of the world, especially like today with the news that we have pending, and it's changing every day.
Yeah. Well, that is all attributed to Sully. Sully wrote those lyrics.
Okay.
I think that I gravitated immediately and understood him immediately because we've both shared similar life experiences. I would never take an experienced and an accomplished lyricist such as Sully and try and mold it in any way. So that song, that lyrically, that song is all Sully. And it just so happens that I and the video director, Ivo Raza, we understood what he's saying. He is talking about becoming strong. It's the chorus, becoming light. It's a journey. Life is a journey. And I think that everyone can relate to that. I saw a great quote, and I think it was Muhammad Ali, but I'm sure someone will correct me. If you view the world at age 50, the same way as you viewed the world when you were at age 20, you've wasted 30 years.
Wow. That's great. That's a really great
quote.
Quote.
Powerful.
It
pretty
is.
Powerful. And I think that's what Sully's talking about. He's talking about becoming a strong, powerful person over the years.
Yeah, that's a great one, man. I wanted to talk a little bit about the three of you getting together. I know the fourth Above Ground benefit concert was there in L.A. October 26th of last year at the Fonda Theater. Sully and Nuno, and of course, all you guys were there. Had you already talked about doing something together, or is this where the launch pad was?
No, the song was already done.
Okay.
Sully was actually in town singing it.
Ah, wow.
Me and Sully coordinated. Well, I wanted to be there when he was recording the vocals. So Sully was going to fly in, do the gig, and on the same trip, we'll go over to Barry's studio and we'll do the vocals. So we'd already done the vocals the night of that show. I think we'd done it 2 days before.
Wow.
So me and Sully were both high off doing that and hearing Sully Erna's voice recorded. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So then we go to the Above Ground show. There's the whole Boston connection, Sully, Nuno.
Right.
And Sully and I are just like, we've got to ask Nuno to do the solo. And of course, Nuno, being the absolutely wonderful guy that he is, said, I'm in. Wow. If it's Billy Morrison and Sully Erna, I'm in, he said. And sure enough, he made the right choice because he killed that solo. He nailed it.
Yeah. And something that Sully said, which I thought was really good, he was like, it's a little challenging when you've got three creative people that work at such high levels in regard to production to get to the finish line. So I'll let you pick it up from there. What did it take for all of you to get to the finish line?
If only you knew. That's all I'm going to say. Here's what I will say.
Yeah.
The three of us are consummate professionals. Absolute, the epitome of professional, which means everyone cared.
Yeah.
And everyone talked a lot and discussed a lot and changed a lot. And all three of us walked across the finish line together.
Yeah.
The process is a private process that, boy, was that a lot.
Well, I do recall something we talked about in the last interview where I really found out how you really hone in on your production. And we talked about your use of the Mellotron, because you knew that it would really add something to that song, that Ozzy really would like that Beatle-esque feel to it. And that's when I really knew that, man, when you go into the studio, you come guns a-blazing, man.
Always.
Yeah.
Why would I do anything less?
Right. Right.
I am certainly not going to waste my time, especially with an album that says Billy Morrison. Yes, there's some guests on it, but it's a Billy Morrison album. I wrote it all and I produced it all and I sing 2/3 of it myself and I play nearly all the lead guitar on this new one. I'm not going to come with anything less than all my guns blazing.
Right. And that's the way it should be. It's got your name on it forever, man.
Yeah.
Back to Becoming, when the listeners first heard it on the show, I started getting some emails and some calls there, and they immediately were attracted to it. What do you hope that the listener who may hear it for the first time today as we're talking about it, take away from that song?
There's a lot to take away from it, not least, yes, it's Sully Erna from Godsmack. And it's Nuno Bettencourt from Extreme. And it's Billy Morrison from Billy Idol's band. But it's what is that expression? The sum of its parts is great. No, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
Right.
Or some.
I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
Confucius or some like that.
Yes.
Point being is that is what happens when the voice of Godsmack and the pretty much the brains and the production behind Extreme get together with me on a song that I wrote. And Brett Scallions from Fuel came up with the main guitar riff. So he's in there too. I think what I would like people to take away from listening to that song is this is what you can do with true collaboration. Because you can hear Godsmack, but it's not Godsmack.
Right.
And you can hear Extreme, but it's not Extreme. And you can hear my punk rock roots, but it's not that.
Yeah.
So it's the result of true collaboration.
The album title, Hollow, which is slated to come out later on this summer, I mean, it kind of feels a little bit intentional, too. I mean, going back to what we were talking about, is that title something that maybe came from something internal or, again, just viewing of the world and the people around us?
You're very good, you're very good. Yes. The album title, first of all, the opening song of the album is called Hollow.
Okay.
And the feeling that I lived with for 15 years when I was on the streets and a drug addict and, pretty serious life-threatening circumstances on a daily basis, if I had to encapsulate that feeling in one word, it would be hollow, because I was existing. I had a brain, I could think, but it was just nothing in there. It's a very hollow, empty existence. And so I wanted to exercise that demon. I've sung about it before, I've written about it before, but this album, the overarching feeling, you'll see the imagery when the album artwork comes out. The imagery is all from England.
Okay.
And it's just channeling and exercising the English demons that I had when I was an idiot junkie running around the planet.
Gotcha. Makes sense. The old song, single versus album, EP, etc. A debate continues here in 2026, and it continues to seem to lean more towards a single world, just the way people are consuming music, etc., etc. I know you and I had a pretty in-depth conversation about still the importance of a full album, because you and I are pretty close in age, and that's the way we were growing up on. But the kids today are different. I mean, still, why do you need a full album, man? man.
I don't care if kids today are different.
Right.
You should understand the body of work.
Gotcha.
There is a journey. It's a story. You know, stories aren't one page. It's 10 chapters, 12 chapters, 20 chapters.
Yeah.
The idea of an album is to take you on a journey through my mind and show you lots of different places that I have visited, that I've had the experience to write about and to make music about, and ultimately land you in a different place to when you started. One song does not do that. I want to take you from where you are now, and 52 minutes later, I want you to feel differently. It's the same as when you look at a piece of art. I'm looking at a very nice piece of art above my fireplace.
Right.
Every time I look at that and take the time to take a few breaths and look at it and just center myself, I feel differently afterwards.
Wow.
So I'm urging someone to take a journey and feel different.
Do you feel different different times you stare at that piece of art? I mean, do you feel like you get another story or a sensation and it doesn't say the same thing every time you stare above your fireplace?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm looking at is an Andy Warhol, and I am actually pretty well versed in his story, his history, his artwork. And so I will it's almost like a meditation, you know. I will be thinking about the actual image that I'm looking at, or maybe I'll be thinking about where his head was at and why he did that image. Or maybe I'm thinking about the Velvet Underground. You know, I don't know, but it will be Andy Warhol centric, my thoughts. But what it does is change the way I feel.
Yeah.
If you listen to A Night at the Opera, you know, you're going to feel different when you get to the end of that album.
Absolutely.
It's the idea of an album.
Yeah. That's a great metaphor for sure. You know, obviously you were talking about your two big singles, a #1 song with Ozzy, a top 10 with Ozzy. While writing the new material for Hollow, you know, now that, you know, that was a pretty amazing accolade to have those big songs. There is folks like me that are waiting for that radio single that you guys decide to put out there, as you did with Becoming. Is that something that's in your head when you're writing music, or is that just you have the album and say, here the songs are, and hey, here's the team, and you guys go with it?
No, man. Do I seem like someone that's sitting upstairs going, I've got to write a radio song?
No, not at all.
No, I mean, I'm really not. Becoming is a radio song.
Yeah.
Clearly a radio song. I didn't write it to be a radio song. Trust me, the issue we've got is there are too many singles on this record. And we are currently discussing, well, should it be this song, or should it be this song, or should it be this song? And I don't know. That there are other singles coming. I do know that the next single will be a song that has no guests on it.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
One of the songs that I ended up doing just me, the radio, that the people who do radio are saying that's a single, that's a single, that's a single. So it looks like, you know, Billy Morrison gets a little shot.
Well, hey, that's okay.
You know, yeah, I don't mind. I really don't mind. I didn't know I was going to get top 10 or #1. That was all surprise to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that people want to talk about it. It's very personal to me, you know, making these solo records.
Back to the paintings you were talking about there, and really, I've never really thought about staring at a painting and how you can have a different feeling each time you do it, same way as you do with music, man. Tell me about this side of Billy and the Andy Warhol-inspired work that you've had that's shown up at top galleries, and, you know, when your interest really became in art and paintings and things like this. I
mean, you can just see from here, that's Erna, that's a Warhol, that's a Basquiat.
Yeah.
My house is covered in Banksy's and Keith Haring's and Andy. I've got a lot of Andy Warhol. I've always loved imagery, and I've loved it since when the Sex Pistols came out. There was a guy that was older than me, and he said, "Look, you know, if you understand, the Sex Pistols are great, but you've got to understand where they came from. New York Dolls, the Velvet Underground," and he's showing me these books of Andy Warhol and the Velvet Underground and art, Andy's art. And there was an image of an electric chair.
Okay.
And I was fascinated that I loved it. You know, the punk rocker in me was like, it's an electric chair. And all these posh people with money are buying it and putting it on the walls of their house. How can that be? So it started this fascination with pop art.
Wow.
And then Banksy, who was the ultimate punk rocker, Banksy just ran around the globe, freaking people out with his art. So I've collected art my whole life. When I started to earn, decent money, I would invest it in art. What I didn't know I could do until Ozzy pushed me is actually do it myself. And I was in South America with Ozzy on one of his tours, and we were in an art supply store in Argentina, and he pushed me quite forcibly to buy a tiny little canvas and 4 colors and 1 brush. We went back to the hotel, and I painted a skull because I thought, well, Ozzy, skull, why not?
Right.
And the feeling, the experience was as cathartic, if not more, than learning to play Nevermind the Bollocks on guitar for the first time.
Holy cow.
It just, the emotions poured out of me. And that man knew I had that in me before I knew I had it in me. And here we are 15 years later, I haven't stopped. And now I paint and have very successful art career. So,
yeah.
Who knew?
Man, I tell you, I do send my condolences about losing your friend there, man. I really didn't want to dwell on that in the interview today, but just hearing that story right there makes my heart feel good, man.
Thank you. He was a very special man to me.
Final question today, as we talked about Hollow is scheduled for the summer 2026 release. You've given us a little bit of a tease of what's to come, and maybe talk about some other collaborators, because I know there's a ton of guests on there as well that you can, spread the news about today.
I can, yes. The album features Dexter Holland from The Offspring, Chuck D from Public Enemy, Be Real from Cypress Hill, Marilyn Manson, Chad Gray from Mudvayne.
Wow.
Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses. Nuno, Steve Stevens. It's the usual list of, oh my God, he's got so-and-so to do so-and-so. But what I will say is I handled 90% of the lead guitar myself this time.
Great.
That's been something that I've always left to the guys that are known to be, the Slashes of this world, the Dave Navarros of this world. Doesn't mean to say I can't play like that. And so I this time, thanks to someone close to me who pointed out to me, actually, why are you getting everyone else on the planet to play your leads when you can do it?
Right.
So I did that, and I actually sing 7 of these songs now on this album. And the rest of it is, as usual, a bunch of my friends doing multi-genre songs, and they make me smile. That's the main object of this is make me smile.
Right. Well, I'm glad you're releasing it in the summertime. I need a summer anthem album, man, to crank up in the car.
There's so many anthems on this record. Every song's an anthem. I love a good anthem.
Me too, man. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Billy, and we'll keep banging the hell out of Becoming, and maybe after the album's out, we'll have you back and we can discuss this a little bit more.
Absolutely. Anytime. I love talking to you, Lloyd.
Thank you, Billy. We'll talk to you later, man.
Bye.